That's what the bankers are. Birgitta Jónsdóttir, chairman of her party in Iceland, member of parliament. She's with us for another 5 minutes in the next hour. Then we are joined by Catherine Austin Fitts. You do not want to miss that on Bankergate. This is the big issue that affects everybody. And she was Assistant Secretary of Housing and Federal Housing Commissioner in the first Bush administration. Always powerful interview. That's coming up. But right now, let's go to your phone calls for our guests. Scott, you're on the air from Texas with our guest. Go ahead, Scott.
Hi, Birgitta. Back during the banking crisis when it hit the news here, Ron Paul was interviewed and asked his opinion of what we should do. And, of course, he said, let the banks fail. And then they asked Dr. Paul, well, what does Congress think we should do? And Dr. Paul said, Congress doesn't have a clue. Do you have the same frustration in Iceland? Would you say it's the same level that Dr. Paul has here of the ignorance, just plain old ignorance that exists in the body of lawmakers?
Absolutely. Thank you for this question. I think it's actually been quite shocking to see the level of ignorance and lack of being able to see the whole picture. And I remember I went to Parliament when they passed the emergency law. I was just an ordinary citizen back then. And I was looking at the members of Parliament, and they all looked like a 5-year-old children feeling really embarrassed about the situation. It did not make me feel very comfortable.
And then the expert bankers from the Treasury prance in and use a bunch of fancy language and tell them what to do. It's time to arrest these people.
Absolutely. One good thing about this entire economical collapse in Iceland, I don't know how it is in the States, is that people have actually educated themselves a lot about what real economy.
Yes, it is waking people up. That's been the good byproduct.
Yes. So I have a tendency to try to look into, what can we learn from it, and are there any positive elements in the particular situation? And I think there is a lot of good positive elements in this. For me, it is a dream come true to see the Icelandic wake up to realize that they can actually be the change makers in their own world.
Yes, real change, not fake Obama change. Thank you, Scott. Good question. Fred in Ohio, your question to the lawmaker from Iceland.
Yes, my question to your guest, Alex, is how can we, the American people, support your fight in your fight for sovereignty, and what supplies might be needed?
Well, I'd say this. Email their media, letters to the editor, call people you know in Iceland, spread the news, the articles that our guest, Jónsdóttir, writes. What else can they do to support your fight against the New World Order?
We're setting up a site that is going to be up in about a week called, and I'm just reading out the site address. It's not ready yet. It's going to be probably something on it tomorrow. It's savethepeopleoficeland.com. And I think more than anything, the Icelandic people need to feel that they are supported by you guys who are listening to this and who have been reading my...
Yes, savethepeopleoficeland.com. Savethepeopleoficeland.com. What great questions. Anything else, Fred?
No, that's it. Thank you.
We're going to come back and talk to Alex and Rick and a few others. 1 minute break, final 5 minutes with Birgitta Jónsdóttir. I'm Alex Jones. Worldwide, the people rising against the international banking crime syndicate. We must prevail. Here we are, already into hour number 4. Catherine Austin Fitts coming up at T-minus 7 minutes. Let's go right back to the calls for our guest, member of Iceland's parliament, the real leadership, the chairman of her party against the banker takeover. They got a good chance of beating them. The bankers are already starting to fold and saying, okay, you don't have to be total slaves. We'll let you keep a couple of Icelandic dollars. Let's go to Alex in Georgia. You're on the air with our guest, Birgitta Jónsdóttir. Go ahead.
Hey, Birgitta, I had a question. It might be a little redundant from the last caller, but you mentioned something about an international online petition. Is that still in the works, or is that something that could be at the website? Or
yes, I'm actually putting it together. and I haven't had time to finish it off today. But it is going to be on this website, savethepeopleoficeland.com. And I guess the only thing that we're asking is that people just put their name there, that they support us in this battle.
Well, Iceland is the very front line of the bankers trying to rape and rob the first world. We've got to stop them there, and we've got a good chance. Anything else, Alex?
No, that's it. Just wondering where I can help out and support the cause, and good for it.
Thank you for caring.
Birgitta, what else can we do to help Iceland?
Just spread the word, and you know, if you find any, you know, if you happen to stumble across any information that might help us to get the IMF out of Iceland, use services like WikiLeaks, because, you know, we feel that this is a much bigger problem than just Iceland's problem. You know, like they said, experts in the European law have said that it is actually a question if we have any legal responsibility in it. It is a big legal question. So, you know...
You don't. You have bankers that engaged in fraud. The instruments sold to them by Goldman Sachs and others and the Bank of England are fraud. They're using anti-terror laws to try to grab people's accounts. They're threatening embargoes against your nation. This is terrorism. This is blackmail that must be defeated. We can't let them devour your nation.
Absolutely true. And like I said, this might just be the beginning. We might be the first world country to suffer from this sort of attack.
Well, we see Greece saying no. We see other nations saying no. We need to identify these frauds for what they are and let the banks fail. The people don't owe this debt. Thank you so much, Alex. Rick in California, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Alex, for taking the call. Real quick, I see a lot on the media. I watch a lot. I listen to you guys. I listen to a lot of other news sources. The key thing I just was curious about is that you have a lot of these people now that are pushing for credit unions as like the new way to kind of help the economy or help defeat the banks in some way, shape, or form, of putting a run on the major banks. But isn't that kind of like the dog, you know, or tail wagging the dog type scenario?
Well, whatever you can do to decentralize, to get out of the big banks, to support local, it's all part of a process of learning and awakening to these parasites. Birgitta?
Yeah, I totally agree. Actually, one of the first things that I did during the collapse of the banks was to see if there were any banks in Iceland that had not been, you know, over-investing or, you know, part of this big scam. And there were actually 2 banks that I found in Iceland, and they're in the countryside. So I moved. I actually didn't have much money, so I moved the little money I had and all my transactions over to there. And I encourage people not to participate in the big bank scams. I mean, the only way to change anything is to change your own ways. Absolutely, and I'm trying to do that as well. We have an operation that's international, so we do have some money in several big banks, but we're trying to move it into smaller banks. But that's a great idea. Thank you so much, Rick. I wish we could go to Randy and others, but we can't. We could talk to Catherine Austin Fitz coming up if you'd like. Birgitta Jónsdóttir, member of the Icelandic Parliament. We'll certainly have you back up as things unfold in this key battleground sector that you're in. And we thank God that great people like yourself have been risen up to the fore in this key juncture in human society. So we appreciate your fight for liberty and justice and the truth, and we are with the people of Iceland against this tyranny. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you. We'll talk to you again soon. Yes. We'll be right back. Take care.